continue taking a look at the bilateral relations and perhaps what next, because that's one of the key questions that will be interrogated going forward, bearing in mind that the Vice President, who is the acting president right now, comes from Zanzibar. All right. Even as we continue monitoring the state of affairs from our neighboring Tanzania country, it's important to note that the Machakos by-election is currently ongoing. The polling stations were opened as of 6 a.m., where those 622,000 registered voters in Machakos County will make their say, and in terms of who will replace Kabaka, who died in December. He was a previous senator. Let's just take a look at a report prepared by Jeff Kirui, who is on the ground for us on the state of affairs in various polling stations within the county. Take a look.
Well, a very good morning. We are in Kalunga Primary in Katiani constituency, and the residents of Machakos County actually going to the ballot to elect the next senator, who is actually going to serve until next year's general election, that is in 2022. Of course, this seat was occasioned by the death of the late Senator Boniface Mutinda Kabaka. And as it stands currently, there are 11 candidates who will be battling it out in this particular contest. And according to IEBC, the total number of registered voters in Machakos County currently are 622,000. And of course, being a by-election, we will be expecting that there might be a little voter apathy in the area, as that been witnessed in the by-elections that we've managed to cover in the last 3 weeks, that is in Matungu and Kabuchai. Particularly in this polling station where I am at currently, that is in Kalunga Primary School, there are approximately 1,000 registered voters in this particular center. And from what we've witnessed so far, the turnout is quite low. Perhaps maybe it's still very early in the morning, and maybe later on there will be more voters making their way to the polling stations. But as it stands now, there is one member of parliament who is actually, that is the deputy minority leader in the National Assembly, Robert Mbui, who has actually managed to cast his vote. But I'll be speaking to him shortly to tell us what exactly the exercise has been so far, if there are any other challenges that they have seen regarding this exercise. Mheshimiwa, karibu sana KTN News. Now, maybe you are one of the first people actually who've actually turned up to cast your vote in this contest. Are there any challenges so far?
So far, I think what I've observed is a low voter turnout, because by this time in the general election, this station was full of people already voting. So I think the major issue is that people have not turned up. Maybe because there's always this belief that there will be few people voting on a by-election. So people expect that whatever time they'll walk in, they'll be able to cast their vote and quickly get out. But in the general election, because they expect there to be many people, they normally come early. We are hoping that people will still be able to come and cast their vote. Yes.
Of course, we understand as well now the issue about opening up of polling stations. IBC recommends that the polling station should be opened at 6. Was that the case here in Kalunga Primary School?
Yes, it was. They were here on time. They opened on time, and they're doing a good job. I think all agents are present. Our officers are also on the ground. I think there is a serious orderliness in the way they are doing their things. I've observed also the system, the way they've set themselves up from the time you enter and identify yourself, all the way up to where you receive your ballot and you go and cast your vote. It's really a seamless process. And I would like to thank IEBC for putting together such a very orderly election so far.
Of course, now there is an aspect about the candidates participating in this particular contest. And we understand that there was that withdrawal by the Maendeleo Chapchap candidate, that is Matua Katuku. And is it a concern for you in terms of the matrix of how this thing will play out?
Yes, it's a bit confusing, because we had a statement from the Machakos County Governor. We also, he sent it out to the media. We saw him on TV. We had him on radio. We even saw the written statement. But clearly, it's not very clear to our people, because yes, there was an indication that they were going to withdraw, but IEBC is not aware. the ballot paper still has the name of his candidate, and so we are wondering how is it you can block that from, you can stop people from voting for a person whose name is in the ballot. So I do believe that before the day is over, there will be quite a number of votes that will still be cast in favor of that candidate, and they obviously cannot be counted as spoiled votes, because IEBC has clearly stated that there was no official communication on the withdrawal. I think it was very much a political gimmick, but I guess the rest is up to the Machakos County people to make a decision and show us at the end of the day what they have done. Yes.
Well, of course, that is the National Assembly Deputy Minority Leader, Robert Mbui, and Member of Parliament of Katiani, a constituency in Machakos County. Remember, there are 8 constituencies in Machakos County, so that means there will be 8 constituency tallying centers, whereby now from there, all the returning officers in that constituency will tally the votes from the polling stations before submitting physically the results to the main tallying center, that is the constituency tallying center, which will be in Machakos town, of course, for the county returning officer to tally all the votes and then now declare the winner. But just to take you through what is happening currently here is that as soon as a voter comes to the polling center, the first thing, there is somebody called the clerk. There is the clerk who is actually going to deal with issues to do with checking the temperatures as a result of the COVID-19 situation in the country. From here, there is a water point where you are required, first of all, to wash your hands before going into the polling station. And another critical issue actually here is that you are not allowed to vote if you don't have a mask. That is the protocol which was given by the Ministry of Health, and that is the communication which was as well given by the IEBC, that as a result of the situation as it is currently in the country, members of the public are urged actually to adhere to the COVID protocols set out by the Ministry of Health. And of course, we will be making spot checks in mostly all the constituencies in this particular county of Machakos. The 8 constituencies will be doing spot checks and of course establish where the candidates will be voting. But this race has actually shaped out to be a contest, a 2-horse race, or rather a 3-horse race as it stands now, because Maendeleo Chapchap candidate, the IEBC say they are not aware of his withdrawal. So it's shaping out to be a 3-horse race so far, because there is the candidate of Wiper Party, that is Agnes Kavindu Mudhama, and then there is the UDA candidate, that is Abana's Mudhama Ngengele, and now Maendeleo Chapchap candidate, that is Mutua Katuku, who is actually, despite the fact that he is gone to the media, the press, to say that he is withdrawing from the race, IBC say they are not aware of any official communication from the party or the candidate. So we wait to see what exactly that will pan out in the day. Back to you.
All right, that's the latest from our reporter, Jeff Kirui. We definitely appreciate your input as he's taking a look at the state of relations in the 8 constituencies within Machakos County, just bringing us up to speed with the voting process, even as we anticipate the tallying process in those 8 constituencies. And once it finalizes, it shall be tallied at the main tallying station within Machakos town. Our reporter, Jeff Kirui, on the ground for us. And definitely keen to note that IEBC, even with the withdrawal of the Maendeleo Chapchap candidate, Mutua Katuku, he's still on the ballot. So as many skeptics mentioned, it's still a 3-horse race. Agnes Kavindu of the Wiper Party and UDA's Abana's Mudhama Ngengele, as he's commonly referred to. Also mentioning other candidates, John Musingi of Muungano Party, Ford Asili's Edward Musembi, as well as Simeon Kifeka, some of the candidates in that